Hey everyone, it's Bree again, and I've just finished working with 2 clients this morning, so I've had a nice busy morning, and I wanted to have a chat with you all today about the whole concept of worrying what people think, because in the time that I've been working particularly with women in the female brain context, but even beforehand when I was in my direct selling days, the fear of what someone else thinks so often stops us from doing what it is that we actually want to do. And when we look at that fear of worrying what other people think, I just wanted to break it down a little bit with you and sort of have a chat with you about it. Not to help you rationalize it, because I know, particularly knowing the way that your brain is functioning and the way your brain works and all of the emotional shit that comes forward through from generations before you based on what we know about epigenetics. So I know to a degree there's not a lot of control that you have when it comes to worrying what other people think. However, there are some things that you can do that help you to recognize when you are allowing that worry what other people to think, stopping you from doing what you want in your day. So let's break down this whole concept of worrying what other people think. Logically, we know that when we have that fear of, oh, well, I can't wear that because, they might think it's overdressed or it's not dressed enough. Or I can't do that in business because they won't understand or they might have an opinion about it. When you have a fear about saying something or speaking your mind and then you stop yourself because, oh yeah, but what if she thinks this, or what if she does that as a result of what I have to say? Anytime we actually have that fear of worrying what other people think, what we are actually doing is creating an identity out of our own fears and putting it into someone else. Because whatever it is that you're worried about, if you're worried about what someone else is going to think as a result of an action or a decision or something that you want to do for yourself, you don't actually know what that person is thinking. And we know this logically. But if we were to break it down and look at it for what it really is, the fear of worrying what someone else thinks, it's easier for us to create a persona and put our own insecurities into the body of someone else and then blame them for the reasons why we're not doing what we want to do because we've got fear of worry what they think, than it is to acknowledge the fact that concern we have is actually our own insecurity, that we, instead of owning it, we pass it off, we blame it and put the excuse on someone else. Is this making sense? I'm sure possibly I'm sounding a little scattered, so let me try and explain it a little bit better. Let's use me as an example, because I'm quite happy to use me as an example. Let's say I wanted to go into business for myself, just like I have. And not everybody understands the concept of the business that I'm trying to build. So I can allow that fear of worrying what, say, my best friend Mary Jane, and I say, I'm worried that she's not going to accept my decision to go into business for myself. I'm worried that she's going to think that I think I'm too good enough, or I'm better than she is. I worry that she's going to judge me based on my decision to do what I want to do. So I blame my best friend for having that thought, when in fact it's not even the best friend that's having the thought, it's me. If you are catching yourself saying, I'm worried that so-and-so is going to think such and such, then what I challenge you to do is actually stop, take away the blame, stop blaming your friend, stop blaming the perception that your friend or that person is going to have judgment based on what you're doing or thinking or saying, and look back on you. Because what you're worried about is not in fact what someone else is thinking. What you're worried about is the insecurity that you're feeling as a result of what you're actually doing. And when you can swallow that, and I know it's a big thing to swallow sometimes to admit your insecurities, but when you can look at that from that point of view and go, right, well really, it's not what she's thinking, because I'm never going to know what she's thinking. But what I do know is that I am thinking I am not going to be good enough, or I'm insecure, or I have a fear about coming across as this certain thing. If you can acknowledge that it's in fact your insecurity, then you can then address it and shift it. And the best way that you can address it is then by going back to that basic thing that I've spoken about before, and that is to either reject or validate the thought. So I was working with a client this morning, and she did this herself. She started to create this story about, yes, but I worry what other people will think if I do this thing. And then rather than allowing that to fester, she looked at it and rejected it. Said, yeah, but if I do this change now, I can create this as a result of the change, which is going to allow for more solutions to come forward as a result. So she stopped with the whole, I'm worried what other people think, stopped it in its tracks and went, hang on a minute, I'm not actually worried what other people are thinking. I'm worried about my own insecurities. So what am I actually feeling as a result of this worry what other people think, and what can I now do as a result of it to step forward? I know that this is really kind of scattered, but I hope it makes sense, because, and I think it almost has to be scattered in a way, because the actual concept is so foreign to most people. No, let me rephrase. I'm not going to say every single person that I've worked with, but a lot of the women that I've worked with over the last 4 years can relate to that sentence of, I worry what other people think. Lots of people. Too many women can recognise I worry what other people think as a real valid concern that they have that stops them from doing what they want to do because of this fear of what other people think. But when we stop blaming the other people and start looking at it as something that we can actually control, then we can start to step forward away from the blame and into responsibility. We can start to break it down and go, right, well, I can't control what other people think, and even if I did know exactly what they're thinking, it's none of my business anyway, because whatever they are thinking is a result of their perceptions, their history, their genetic upbringing, or all of their world. We can't control that. So let's stop blaming worry what other people think and start looking at it as, okay, what do I think? What am I worried about as a result of what I'm thinking? What is my fear and my insecurity here, and what can I now do to move out of that space? Does this make sense? And I've got a couple of girls watching at the moment, and I apologise if I've confused you, but I'm hoping that maybe I'm starting to sound like I have more of an idea about what I'm talking about. If you can give me some indication. It's very nerve-wracking sitting on the other side of the thing sometimes and going, oh my God, I think I sound like a fool. There you go. Worried about what other people think. I just did it. Perfect example. I just personified what I assumed you guys were thinking as a result of what I was saying, when in fact it's an insecurity that maybe I have of my own. We do it all of the time, don't we? And the power of that is that I can now look at that and go, right, well, I've just blamed them. I worry that they are going to think that I don't know what I'm talking about. I've tried to blame it on you guys instead of just going, hang on a minute, I do own what I'm saying right now, and I know that I'm maybe sounding a little confused, but I do know what I'm getting to, and I know that it makes sense, because the second that I can stop blaming you guys for how I think I'm being perceived and own it and go, hang on a minute, no, this is all right, then that changes the entire energy of what you're even doing. Can you see how that happened? That was really cool. Thanks, honey. Thank you for the the acknowledgement. Not that I need your acknowledgement, but it's just good to know that it's making sense to you, because when you can take hold of this concept and let go of worry what other people think, when you can take hold of it and make it into an obstacle, or make it into a vehicle that you can then control, then you can let go of that whole I worry what people think, and you can start to look for solutions and options that you can actually control in your life. And ultimately, the gift that I want to give to every single woman that I work with is that gift of choices, options and solutions, because you have every choice, you have every opportunity, you have every gift that you need to be able to create the world that you want to live in. As soon as you stop with the excuses and stop with the blaming, and quite often it's easier to blame others than it is to take ownership. V, I'm so glad that that's made sense to you as well. It was a bit of a light bulb moment when I started to look at it from that point of view. So let's make the effort, when we start to do the whole I worry what other people are thinking about what we're doing, what we're saying, how we're behaving, let's acknowledge that we've had that fear, let's acknowledge that we've had that insecurity, and then flip it back around and go, hang on a minute, okay, yes, I'm initially blamed them, but I'm going to acknowledge that this is my insecurity, so what's actually going on right now? What am I scared of? What am I fearful of? What am I doubting? And what can I do right now to move beyond that point of stuck and start actually progressing to where I want to go? Hope that makes sense to you all. Yeah, anyway, love to hear your thoughts. Thanks so much to you both for commenting. I love it. And thank you to everyone who has watched. I know that we've had a few people come on and off. It's so great seeing that people are connecting. And if you've got struggles that you are happening or situations in your life that you would like me to discuss, then please reach out and let me know. I really want to be able to deliver something worth considering to you every day. Some sort of thought process that has you to become more aware of what you've actually got in your life and how you can control what you've got in life. And the best way that I can do that is certainly by having real life examples to work from. So if you've got something going on, I won't share names, but you can certainly send me through a private message, let me know what's going on, and I'll try and create some sort of line of thinking for you to explore. And hopefully, and I know you will, be able to help others as a result of that. You have a fantastic afternoon. Thank you so very much for hanging with me. I know I was a little scattered this at the beginning, but you have a great afternoon. Love and respect to everybody. Mwah. Have a good one.